Well, well, well. Who could it be? Good evening to all. It is 6:30. Heh, nailed it. Hi, hello, hello. How y'all do? Oh, God. How y'all doing? Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. It is October 31st at 6:29 p.m. CST. Wow.
Alan, you were supposed to play so many more games this month. What happened?
I'm sorry. That's about it. Anyway, we have gathered here today to read a fuck ton of SCPs. On the shorter side, not short ones, but on the shorter side. I'm going to be filling out a bunch of Series 1 as well as redoing one that I actually got wrong, that I mistitled a while ago. 7161. I gave it the wrong title, so we're going to retake it. And I've come to a compromise with myself. One of the big problems I have with the editing portion is actually the text for some reason. So what I'm going to do is record the audio locally so that one, the clipped out versions will have better audio quality, and two, I can just use the stream record for the visual instead of having to go add all the extra text and all that. I think that's what my brain doesn't like. How are you doing, SCP-7594? Sorry, my glasses are off. Chat SCP. How are you today? Yeah, I already said this. I think I've said this before, but the clipped out versions of the readings will not be going into sub boxes because they are competing with my live streams for notifications. And I would much rather people watch the live streams than watch the readings. So they'll be there. They're just not the content that will be getting sent out. I'm also thinking of getting my home computer upgraded, because right now it is effectively useless. So, SCP-tober 2025, a little late for that. It's the end of the month, isn't it? How you been doing good today, man? I'll add those SCPs to the list of ones that I need to look at, because I am reassessing what types of things I will read. Because some types of SCPs literally just, I hate looking at them. I hate trying to read them. I'm not going to force myself to try and read something that I hate looking at. Poppy Playtime Chapter 4, Yarnaby. I've never played Poppy Playtime. I never will play Poppy Playtime. But I hope you enjoyed it. Alright, anyway. before we get started, I'm gonna take a very quick break because I need to go to the restroom. Be right back. All right, I'm back. Chat SCP, are you another bot? Are you a real person? Starting to think you're not a real person. Happy Halloween, indeed. Well, anyway. I'm gonna turn down the music just a little bit. Oh yeah, I never finished my thought. I'm thinking of getting a replacement computer for my home computer, because the one I have at home is effectively useless, and I cannot stream from it. If I were to replace it, it means I could do reading streams from home again. That would double the amount of time that I could stream. Wow. Wouldn't that be crazy? Is this... Oh, the end of this song has no audio in it. Huh. Well, anyway. But yeah, if I do that, then I'd be making more content again. Alright, anyway. SCP-6439? I don't know if I have that on here, but I will add that Dilligaff. How are you doing, man? I will add that as on the check things out list. How you doing, Dilligaff? Alright. We have a lot to check out today. I have up to 15 articles that we can read. We got 7161, which is a retake. And then a bunch of filling out Series 1. Like 065, 100, 101. Also, I've zoomed in, so hopefully you can read a little bit better. Great. Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad to hear. Jeffy Odge. Oh. Yeah, man. Whatever that means. All right. We will be getting started with a retake of 7161 because I mistitled it last time I read it, so we're going to redo it. So one last drink. Clear my throat. Mute that because you don't want to hear me doing that. All right. Two crates in Horus. Item number SCP-7161. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. Entry to the ancillary building of the Horus City Hall is forbidden to all personnel without 4/7161 certification. No more than 2 people at a time may be granted 4/7161 certification. The door and surrounding fencing are both to be locked, and the exterior of the facility is not to be maintained. Live surveillance footage of the exterior is to be continually tracked via hidden camera. A plainclothes guard is to be continually posted within 400 meters of the ancillary building. No cameras are to be placed in the interior or filming into it. A Foundation bot, Colas.aic, will continually monitor Horus social media accounts for mentions of certain stories. When a significant increase in their discussion is documented, 5 more plainclothes guards will be stationed in Horus for the next month. Description: SCP-7161 refers to 2 wooden crates found in the first floor supply closet of the ancillary building of the Horus, North Dakota City Hall. The smaller crate, SCP-7161-1, is cubic. Each side measures approximately 23 centimeters. A length of narrow rubber hose protrudes from a circular hole in the crate and through the wooden floorboards of the supply closet. While attempting to discover where the hose led, a previously undocumented basement was discovered. The height of the basement's walls are 8 feet, and the floor is dirt. The hose protrudes through the ceiling of the basement and outputs about 100 cc of fluid per hour, which drips into the soil. The source and content of this fluid is classified by O5 order. Before entry to the ancillary building was restricted, occasional noises were reported from the interior of SCP-7161-1. The content of these reports is classified by O5 order. The larger crate, SCP-7161-2, measures 2 meters by 0.8 meters by 0.6 meters. The sides of the crate are stained, consistent with a large amount of fluid accreting in its interior. Occasionally, 1 to 2 civilians will attempt to breach the Horus City Hall ancillary building. Before these attempts, public discussion of certain stories tends to increase approximately 3-fold across Horus. These stories include, among others, The Green Knight, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, The Book of Judith, The Green Ribbon, David and Goliath, The Redacted of John the Baptist. Both crates are stenciled on their sides with the words, SCP Foundation Department of Abnormalities. No department by that name has ever existed. Alrighty, there's the first one. 70, 51, 71, 72. Already added that onto the list. As well as 58, 52, chat SCP. They will be things that I look at in the future. Books. I'll be honest, not entirely sure what this is about, but that's okay. All right. First one down. That was pretty short, yeah? Be sure to stay hydrated, especially while reading. Talking can be very stressful on the voice. All right, next. We have 65. Or just 65. Destroyed organic catalyst. Item number SCP-65. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. As SCP-65 cannot be moved, it has been contained on site, and Site Blank has been established around it. Site Blank has been marked as a government research facility off limits to civilians, and unauthorized individuals attempting to gain access to the area are to be detained, questioned, and administered a Class A amnestic if deemed necessary by site security. An area 17 meters in radius around the center of SCP-065 has been designated the Red Zone. Personnel may not enter the Red Zone of SCP-65 at any time, and experimentation with SCP-65 may only be performed with prior approval from at least 2 Level 3 senior research staff. Personnel at high risk of cancer must not be assigned to Site Blank, and all Site Blank personnel must undergo mandatory monthly physical evaluations, including cancer screenings. Description: SCP-65 is a spherical region of space, approximately 12 meters in radius, located on a farm near Redacted. SCP-65 was formed by the destruction of an anomalous artifact on site by the Global Occult Coalition on Blank. Immediately following this initial event, the radius of SCP-65 was estimated to have initially expanded to 108 meters in radius, resulting in the deaths of 11 GOC operatives and 5 civilians. Since containment by the Foundation, the effective radius of SCP-65 has shrunk to and remained stable at its current size. SCP-65 causes abnormal transfiguration of any living... SCP-65 causes abnormal transfiguration of any living organism within its area of effect. These effects include, but are not limited to, regression of specialized cells to an undifferentiated stem state, spontaneous separation and fusion of undifferentiated cells, spontaneous necrosis of living tissue and reanimation of dead tissue, rapid genetic mutation of living tissue. These effects occur at a rate proportional to the mass and complexity of the organism. Plants and insects show few, if any, effects. Small animals will exhibit alterations following several days of exposure. larger animals will show harmful mutations within hours. And all human subjects exposed to the red zone have been fatally altered within approximately 15 minutes of exposure. To date, all attempts at directly observing the center of SCP-65 have failed, as SCP-65 causes a form of extreme sensory confusion in all observers that extends to recording equipment. Affected personnel have reported highly distorted vision and hearing that persists for several hours and can result in severe dizziness and nausea. Addendum 65-1. Researcher note. On Blank, a robotic rover designed to use somatosensory rather than visual or acoustic navigation managed to reach the center of SCP-65 and retrieve several objects. When pieced back together, these objects appear to be the shattered fragments of a stone figurine of Kokopelli, a Native American fertility deity. Along with pre-incident data obtained from the Global Occult Coalition, it appears that this artifact had been used by the civilian family to boost the yield of their farm, and only came to the attention of the GOC when an investigation by the United States Department of Agriculture revealed genetic markers in their supposed organic crops, consistent with those of genetically modified organism, GMO, crops. The GOC attempted an on-site destruction of this artifact, resulting in the creation of SCP-65. Following this incident, the GOC contacted a Foundation liaison and requested assistance in containing the resultant anomaly. Dr. Blank. Addendum 65-2. Attached document. The following document was recovered from the formerly civilian-owned farmhouse at Site Blank.
John, I heard things aren't going so well back at home. I wish I could come back and help right now. But it's tough over here right now as well, and we're on the verge of some important discoveries. I know it's not much, but I found this during the trip. The man who gave it to me described it as representation of that which is, and that which might be. Planted by the cornfield, and hopefully it'll make ends meet. See you soon. G.
Yet another reason to hate the GOC, as if we didn't already have a million of them. Can they stop making everything worse for 5 seconds?
What a bunch of assholes.
You're adding a lot to my list, Chat SCP. Sheesh. I'm still not even sure if you're real. Well, this is the second major SCP that I know of that they made. They made this one, they made the rocking chair. Have they ever done anything right? They're worse than the UIU. I mean, goddamn. Excuse me. I know it's probably a bit TMI, but I've had a lot of really bad mucus buildup in my throat this month. I don't know. I think my whole throat is full of stomach acid thing is becoming more of a problem. Who knows? Definitely, yeah. At least the UIU's trying to help, right? The fuck does the GOC even do? Call the SCP? Call the Foundation? Call Mom, it's bad! That's them. Alrighty. On to the next one. Acid reflux? Yeah. Jamaican Joe's Junkyard Jubilee. Item number SCP-100. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. SCP-100 is to have 6 guards patrolling the interior of the perimeter's fencing, and 2 guards dedicated to the monitoring of the interior and exterior of both warehouses and the residential building, with rotations to occur every 3 hours. Any unauthorized personnel found within SCP-100 are to be detained for questioning prior to amnestic administration and release. 3 guards are to remain within the storefront of SCP-100, with rotations to occur every 8 hours. The storefront front entrance is to remain locked at all times, with keys provided to necessary personnel. Private property and no trespassing signs are to be posted on the front of the storefront to deter any drivers from stopping at SCP-100. Any constructs SCP-100-1 creates are to be removed from SCP-100 and melted down into slag, with the exception of SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B. Should SCP-100-1 become uncooperative, SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B may be removed from SCP-100 until the time that SCP-100-1 becomes cooperative again. The largest of the 2 warehouses within SCP-100 has been converted into a basic research facility. All objects created by SCP-100-1, excluding SCP-100-2-A, and SCP-100-2-B, may be used for research purposes. Testing on SCP-100-1 itself may only be conducted with written permission from the acting head researcher. Description: SCP-100 is an abandoned scrapyard 80 kilometers from blank, South Carolina, known as Jamaican Joe's Junkyard Jubilee. The scrapyard covers roughly 5,000 square meters of fenced-off land, consisting of 2 warehouses, a storefront, and a small residential building, as well as neglected land and land used for storage. SCP-100 holds roughly 1,500 vehicles, both pressed and unpressed, as well as roughly 1,400 kilograms of separate scrap. Estimated to be worth $5,000, 3,870 euros. SCP-100's anomalous effect manifests through SCP-100-1 and its constructs, including SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B. Autonomy is lost when SCP-100-1, or one of its objects, cross the fenced perimeter of SCP-100, remaining in this state until reintroduction. SCP-100-1 is an autonomous, sapient humanoid construct consisting mostly of copper piping, uninsulated copper wiring, and aluminum cans. SCP-100-1 lacks the ability for written or verbal communication. However, it possesses the ability to communicate using rudimentary sign language. SCP-100-1 is largely uninterested in conversation outside of sales, and information gathered from it has been limited. SCP-100-1 appears to possess skill in craftsmanship, demonstrating the ability to operate tools such as arc welders, drills, and power saws, as well as heavy machinery such as car compressors and forklifts. SCP-100-1 possesses the ability to create autonomous constructs similar to itself, using material available within SCP-100. SCP-100-1 tends to create 4 specific animals: iguanas, crocodiles, turtles, and flamingos. However, SCP-100-1 has been known to craft other species, such as domestic pets. To maintain compliance, SCP-100-1 has been allowed to keep 2 objects, labeled SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B. SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B are constructs superficially resembling insects, assumed to be created by SCP-100, as they have occupied SCP-100 since the initial discovery of SCP-100. The names Ramon and Beatrice are welded into the backs of SCP-100-2-A and SCP-100-2-B respectively. They appear to operate as both companions as well as guards for SCP-100, as they patrol the perimeter of SCP-100, except during intervals of interaction with SCP-100-1. SCP-100-1 appears to follow a ritualistic schedule, repeating the same actions daily. From 0800 to 1500, SCP-100-1 enters the storefront of SCP-100, seating itself behind a counter and attempting to bargain with any humans within the storefront. Occasionally, -1 will return to the yard prematurely for reasons unknown. From 1500 to 1600, -1 interacts with -2-A and -2-B, communicating using vague hand and arm gestures. Interaction tends to consist of grooming, repair, and activities resembling fetch and hide and seek. From 1600 to 200, from 1600 to 2000, SCP-100-1 performs various tasks, including taking stock of material within SCP-100, cleaning and maintaining tools and heavy machinery, and cleaning the interiors and exteriors of buildings present within SCP-100. From 2000 to 0 hour, -1 performs what is assumed to be leisurely acts, ranging from creating new constructs, interacting with -2-B, and interacting with -2-A and -2-B, and patrolling SCP-100. From 0 hour to 0800, -1 enters the residential building, where it remains seated at a desk for the duration of this time. In the event that a human enters the storefront of SCP-100 during the interval of time -1 is seated behind the counter, -1 will attempt to bargain with them, using a variety of gestures to convey meaning. Most attempts by -1 are to sell scrap, figures of its own creation, or repair services. However, it has been known to purchase scrap. Despite Dash 1's inability to read, it possesses the ability to perform basic mathematics, as demonstrated by sales. Sales made by Dash 1 are typically met with some degree of unfairness. Dash 1 has been known to intentionally use faulty scales and contaminate scrap piles with cheaper metals, and has demonstrated knowledge of the area of effect within SCP-100. As Dash 1 has sold constructs repeatedly, despite the loss of autonomy when exiting SCP-100. Efforts to confront Dash 1 about this have been met with both distress and indifference, with referral to a sign posted on the wall reading, "No refunds, Mon." Happening regardless of Dash 1's emotional response. SCP-100 was discovered on November 9th, 1976, following reports of strange machines operating from within the scrapyard. These rumors were discredited as urban legends, and a Foundation agent was sent to SCP-100 to act as the landowner until containment was performed under the guise of property sale. A wooden privacy fence was built along the former perimeter of SCP-100. One-way windows were installed in the storefront, and a highway now running through the nearby town of Blank redirects the majority of civilian traffic. Addendum 100-A. Records show the property is owned by one Joseph Duvall, with a mailing address sharing the same name. Local utility companies report billing has been stopped approximately 3 months before the discovery of SCP-100, which was found abandoned save for Dash 1, Dash 2-A, Dash 2-B, and several avian and canine figures presumed to be made by Dash 1. The initial sweep of the buildings revealed the residential building to be mostly bare, with the only sign of former occupants being a note found taped to the door of the storefront. See Document 100-A. Incident 100-A. On June 3rd, 2005, Dash 1 created a humanoid, autonomous construct 10 centimeters in height. The first time Dash 1 has done so. Significant effort was put into this construct compared to others, with greater detail applied to the construct, including facial features and JJ welded into the back of the construct, and stainless steel making up the majority of the construct. Dash 1 placed the construct on the counter of the storefront for the duration of this scheduled interval, both using vague gestures to seemingly communicate with one another. Following the confiscation of this construct, Dash 1 remained seated within the building. Dash 1 remained seated within the residential building of SCP-100 for a total of 10 days. Document 100-A. The following is a copy of the note recovered upon discovery of SCP-100. Out to lunch. Please see Assistant. JJ. Oh my god, they confiscated the guy that owns this store. What the hell? You can give me all of these things to add to my list, Chat SCP, but we're not doing any of them tonight. I don't even guarantee that I will do them, but I will give them a look. That's all I can guarantee. Alright, so this happy little robot man makes other little robots. And then he sells them. I can't believe they kidnapped Jamaican Joe, though. He finally came back and he immediately got kidnapped. Sucks for him, yeah? Oh, man. Stretch. Stretch. Oh, big stretch. Make sure you keep your muscles warmed up. Don't let them stagnate. Jeffy. Jeffy. My name's Jeffy. Alrighty. Moving on. Yeah, let's start from there. Spanish. Yeah, the chat SCP has been speaking Spanish. I do not know if they understand me. They just keep asking for me to read SCPs. I don't know if they're actually a person or if they're a bot. Because there's a lot of bots that have done that in the past. Where they just show up and say random things. Oh well. At least he isn't asking my thoughts on EDP. So. Could be worse. All right. Next up. Hungry bag. Hungry bag. Item number SCP-101. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. SCP-101 is currently stored in the sub-basement O2 of Site-19, inside of a standard fireproof document lockbox, within a reinforced concrete room of standard facility size. Said room has been fitted externally with a standard double-door airlock, and internally fitted with an appropriate safety response equipment, as well as biological response equipment. Only personnel of Level 3 are permitted to enter the SCP-100. Only personnel of Level 3 are permitted to enter the SCP-101 holding room. Personnel of Level 2 or lower are permitted to interact with SCP-101. Only with directives from Level 3 or higher personnel, or with standing directives. The airlock for SCP-101 is set to a standard 10-minute cycle, during which standard screening scans for biological or environmental hazards will be made. SCP-101 is under standing directives for use during 0600 and 2000 hours. Outside of the airlock of the holding room for SCP-100, 2 Level 2 guards are to be posted at all times, with overlapping shifts. Description: SCP-101 appears as a satchel or bag of intermittent size, with observations ranging from an opening of 15 centimeters in diameter to 70 centimeters in diameter. The depth of the container has varied, with no standard mean of equality to the relative diameter. The primary feature of SCP-101 is what appears to be a semi-humanoid mouth contained within the opening of the bag, with a mean standard of 31 centimeters of depth into the container, without more than 2 standard deviations of variance, regardless of the apparent external depth of the container. The mouth consists of 32 teeth of an off-white hue, all of equal shape and size, consisting solely of incisors of approximately 10 centimeters in length. It has been observed, albeit not measured with accuracy, that within the mouth there is a tongue of indeterminate length, with observations ranging from 50 centimeters to 3.5 meters. The mouth appears wet and spongy. However, all attempts at the removal of possible fluids have resulted in failure, with damage to the instruments and harm to the personnel. The current decision is that SCP-101 may be part of a larger entity of extra-dimensional origin. SCP-101 is not externally mobile. However, internal movements within the container can affect minor movements of the exterior of the container that consists of SCP-101's covering. It is understood that due to the nature of the size and probabilities of the container and object within, the object is of extra-dimensional interaction, if not origin. SCP-101 has exhibited polymorphic abilities, as well as a low level of sentience. The photo on file depicts the item as it was discovered in 1979 in a remote area of the Cascade Mountains in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. Found along with SCP-101 was the decayed remains of a human, clad in a weathered black suit, seated upon an also weathered parachute, missing the right arm up to the joint of the shoulder, which appeared to have bite marks through the remaining bones, assumed to have been inflicted by SCP-101. Speculation as to the identity of this deceased individual has led researchers to the conclusion that this was one D.B. Cooper. Remains removed for the purposes of concealing the existence of SCP-101. SCP-101 has since changed appearance and shape, with the apparent end of enticing a subject into reaching within the container. These appearances have ranged from money satchels, to deli boxes, to Krispy Kreme containers, to candy bags, all of which have an external appearance that is indistinguishable from that of the real containers. It has been proposed by Dr. Blank that SCP-101 is semi-sentient in its attempts to lure subjects in. At the recommendation of Data Expunged, SCP-101 is currently in use as a means of refuse disposal for SCP-101 is currently in use as a means of refuse disposal for Site-19. SCP-101 has not shown adverse reaction to having foreign matter introduced into it, including, but not limited to, paper product, sewage, cafeteria refuse, metals, polymers, oils, and other products which are not consumable by any known biological entity. Addendum 1. So far, SCP-101 has not exhibited any abnormal behaviors from the standards observed. Nor has SCP-101 emitted any substances, either foreign, extra-dimensional, or abnormal. However, it is the concern of Dr. Blank that SCP-101 may produce an emission in the future. Addendum 2. Further examination under the direction of Dr. Blank has determined that SCP-101 is ideal for the disposal of hazardous wastes and byproducts of other SCP-related projects. Dr. Blank is noted as being opposed to this measure. However, O5-Blank has given authorization for the project to continue. Hungry baggy. It'll give me with donuts. Dude, same. God, I could go for a jelly-filled donut. Jelly-filled donuts are my favorite. DB Cooper, yeah, man. I'm reading too much and my throat is rebelling. It does that. For some reason, it's perfectly fine when I stream, but when I read, it gets really mad at me. I get really nasally. $46 and $90. Onto the list of things to check out it goes. Those 3078. I did tell you that I'm not going to be doing any of those, right? Chat SCP? I'm not doing any of those tonight. I've already got my list of things we're doing set up. So. Don't look forward to anything. I've already gone through an entire bottle of water. I need to get a filter or something because I drink a lot of water, but I don't trust tap water. So I drink tons of bottled water. I produce so many goddamn bottles, dude, and there is no recycling where I live. Like, I'm bad. I'm bad for the environment. We ain't got shit out here, man. Where I live, you have to pay them to recycle only cans. Only soda cans. Nothing else. And you have to pay them. It's really fucking dumb. Now the recycling isn't a bit of a scam anyway. Because it's not as good for the environment as it's supposed to be. Because it just gets exported to another country and left there, or to other countries in general and left there to be kind of garbage. It's Pretty bad.
Very bad. Homie.
On to the list it goes. All right. Let's get another done. Concrete cradle. Concrete cradle. Item number SCP-121. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. Containment Site 83 has been established outside SCP-121 to house personnel dedicated to the containment of SCP-121. The perimeter of SCP-121 is to remain fenced off from the surrounding area, with guards stationed along the perimeter at all times. Guards are to don local military uniforms and remain heavily armed at all times. Rotations of guards is to occur every 4 hours. The surrounding population is to remain informed that SCP-121 is quarantined due to persisting hazardous material. Warning signs are to be placed every 75, 50, and 25 kilometers out along roads leading to SCP-121 to deter trespassers. Civilians who approach the perimeter of SCP-121 are to be reminded of the quarantine and forced to depart. Those who resist are to be detained for questioning. In the event that approaching civilians witness an active instance of SCP-121-1 or -2, Class A amnestics are to be administered. Any meteorological data regarding SCP-121's anomalous effect is to be censored. And SCP-121 has been labeled a no-flight zone to prevent knowledge of SCP-121-1 and -2. Site Task Force Iota-71, Home Wreckers, has been established and permanently assigned to Containment Site 83 in the response to the threat of SCP-121-2. They are to escort researchers interested in studying non-hostile instances of SCP-121-2, as well as neutralize any instances that have grown to potentially lethal sizes. In the event of an attempted containment breach, Iota-71 is to assist perimeter guards in the neutralization of the instance of SCP-121-2. Any buildings within SCP-121 that develop into SCP-121-1 are to be recorded and monitored at all times for transition into -2. Instances of -2 that become innately hostile upon transition are to be neutralized. However, passive instances may continue to dwell within the perimeter of SCP-121 for research purposes until they've grown to a size too dangerous to contain or become hostile, at which point they are to be neutralized. Description: SCP-121 is the region of land occupied by the former town of blank, Colorado. The town was home to roughly 6,800 prior to the enactment of current containment protocol, and holds roughly 3,000 buildings, both residential and commercial. Clouds above SCP-121 appear incapable of entering an area, roughly 12 kilometers in diameter, instead passing around the area. It is speculated that this is related to SCP-121's range of effect, but it is not known how at this time. Buildings in SCP-121 will sporadically Footnote. No more than one at a time, with 3 weeks minimum between manifestation. Detach from any foundations and descend into the air. At this point, these buildings are identified as SCP-121-1. Instances of -1 ascend to a random height of a minimum of 45 meters. Regardless of the previous state of the building, doors and windows become locked, and any potential entryways become barricaded by furniture inside. Forced entry has shown an increased ambient temperature of roughly 35 degrees Celsius, and a relative humidity of roughly 65%, but a lack of any further anomalous properties. Instances of SCP-121-1 will cease suspension after a minimum period of 10 weeks, but may remain airborne for no more than 15 weeks afterwards. Instances do not show any abnormal levels of durability, and near total destruction of -1 upon impact with the ground is common. After impact, the remains of instances of -1 will contain an ovoid object, approximately 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter by 2 meters, composed of materials consistent with furniture found inside the home. Footnote. Examination of mostly intact instances of SCP-21. Examination of mostly intact instances of -1 show an absence of previous furnishings. The object will begin to locomote on its own accord. At this point, it will be referred to as -2. -2 begin to form a conglomerate with nearby materials, including debris from -1, flora, automobiles, and, on rare occasion, other buildings. -2 will continue to attract objects until it forms a body of material 9 meters in height, at which point the body will animate and appear to take on levels of sentience. -2 may, at this point, begin to simulate ingesting other material to continue growing at a considerably slower rate. Ingestion appears to be for the sole purpose of continued growth, as instances have gone prolonged periods of time without material. Certain items have been known to attach to -2 instantaneously, despite size and the lack of simulated ingestion. Instances of -2 normally resemble animals capable of locomotion on land, but have been known to take on humanoid forms, and forms that do not resemble any known animal. They are primarily docile, and normally do not display hostility towards personnel unless provoked. However, -2 instances have been known to form with innate aggressive and territorial behavior. This behavior has also been observed to develop following the accumulation of certain items, including firearms, bladed weapons, and in one example, the taxidermy head of a bear. SCP-121 came to the attention of the Foundation when local authorities were flooded with reports of a previously abandoned residence suddenly flying in the sky. The town was evacuated under the guise of a hazardous materials spill, and the residence was observed. Once the instance of -1 transitioned into -2, -2 was quickly neutralized. Following the neutralization, another instance of -1 developed. Footnote. This is the only occasion on which the creation of SCP-1 This is the only occasion on which the creation of -1 has so closely followed the creation of an instance of -2. And the town was permanently evacuated and contained. Incident 121-A On November 4th, 1998, a sound described as a muffled siren was heard for approximately 5 minutes. An active instance of SCP-121-1 was suddenly subject to an immense force following the sound, causing the building to prematurely break apart while suspended before the 10-week minimum. Neighboring towns reported hearing the sound. Local press were informed quarantine staff were being evacuated due to a temporary elevation in toxic levels. The cause of the sound is currently unknown. Further research is recommended. 3 weeks following the sound and the destruction of -1, the remains finally fell to the ground. Inside the rubble were remnants of the ovoid object found in -2, along with traces of aluminum slag. Incident 121-B. On May 9th, 2012, a 1991 Dodge Caravan was found suspended 53 meters in the air. Internal surveillance is at this time impossible, due to the windows being obscured by what appears to be wool cloth. Further observation of the vehicle is recommended. Oh boy. That house do be flying. And then turns into da 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 da. Katamari Damacy, a game that I have never played in my life. Should I play Katamari? I like the song. Both the da 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 da, as well as the "Oh Lonely Rolling Star." Love that song. Got this halfway through. Don't worry. I still got another like nine things to read, Snarf. How you doing, man? I hope you're okay. Hope you're doing better. Yeah, we're just doing some reading. One second. My apologies, I just had to blow my nose. Trying to work off some of that nasal pressure. Doing better-ish, still painful. I'm sorry to hear that, man. You more never, SCP-7066. I'm assuming that's another request. Can you chill with these requests, man? They're not getting done tonight. Billy ought to get back into writing. Hell yeah, dude. Work the creative bone, brother. I need to either get back to work on Weninabatsu, or I need to come up with another language that's of its own derivation. Give me more never. I don't know what that means. Also, I'm not reading any of the SCPs you've told me to read today. I've already said that several times, man. Everything that I'm reading is already in the description. Stretch. And also, move my legs, because I have to stand very still while I record. So my knees start to hurt after a while. I'm so goddamn old, man. Shit, I'm falling over. No, I'm not. I'm back. Have an idea-ish for a story, but it's more of a log-style thing? Well, like Dracula? No problem with that. Alrighty. I think it's about time we get on to the next one, yeah? The Craftsman. Item number SCP-188. Object class Safe. Special containment procedures. As SCP-188 poses no direct threat to any Foundation assets, SCP-188 is to be contained in Storage Unit J6-455. Its presence is to be noted during the bi-weekly survey of site assets. During this time, any environmental effects exerted by SCP-188 are to be reversed. Description: SCP-188 is a volume of iridium metal hosting an effect that acts on a finite region around the object. With the exception of the regional effect, SCP-188 is, chemically and physically, an otherwise unremarkable sample of iridium metal. SCP-188 has a mass of 181.43 grams and has been cast as a cylinder with a radius of 1 centimeter and a length of 2.56 centimeter. SCP-188's current cylindrical shape is not its original form, but one convenient for experimental manipulation and storage. The regional effect of SCP-188 induces changes in the environment. The changes take the form of discrete manipulations, such as scratches on surfaces, or grouping and shaping of ambient metal material, such as dust. These changes emerge over time and are widespread over the entire region of the effect. The changes show a high degree of complexity and structure, and have been seen to change with time. Further, the effect extends to all scales, and has included exceptionally small and intricate structures. When initially contained by the Foundation, SCP-188 consistently induced fractal motifs. SCP-188 consistently induced fractal motifs. Since containment, this has increasingly shifted to include spiral and flow motifs. Biological forms have emerged as a rare, but consistent theme. As the environment around it is manipulated, SCP-188's regional effect will extend outward. Testing has shown that this region will only extend outward to a volume encompassing an area of approximately 4,000 meters squared. Attempts to nullify SCP-188's effect have included placement in a Faraday cage, placement in a radiation containment device, powdering, and melting SCP-188. None of these attempts have diminished the regional effect in any way. Current proposals to vaporize SCP-188 and recondense small portions of the vapor are being explored. SCP-188 first came to the attentions of a predecessor body to the Foundation on blank 1920 blank, located at the rural Indiana properties of blank. After a thorough search, the object was found as a spark. The object was found as a spike, partially submerged in the ground, and appeared to be in the process of reshaping the local wheat crop through braiding together and flattening of stalks. No clear pattern had emerged at time of acquisition, though the effect had begun to extend over many meters. Though records are incomplete, it is known that efforts to contain the effect of the object failed. Embedding in bulk material, such as concrete or lead, did not diminish the initial size of the region the effect acted over. Further, these attempts ended with the object carving apart the containment sheath. The Foundation has evidence that more esoteric proposals were suggested, such as encasement in diamond. No evidence exists that these technologically sophisticated and resource-intensive proposals were followed up on. When this parent organization was folded into the Foundation, the object and any existing records were inherited and placed under the SCP-188 classification. When the crop circle that emerged, efforts were taken to determine if there was a connection between the crop circle markers. Efforts were taken to determine if there was a connection between the crop circle makers and the effects caused by SCP-188. Investigation showed no connection beyond the superficial, and it is the opinion of the O5s that the similarity is a coincidence. Proposals to explore or to illustrate any statistical consistency Proposals to explore or to illustrate any statistical consistency in the effect of SCP-188 has upon its environment are being accepted and evaluated. At this time, due to the lack of inherent danger posed by SCP-188 in its current containment, proposals requiring extreme measures or contact with other SCPs are not encouraged. Wow, my tongue is getting a little bit, a little bit tired, as they say. Tends to happen after I've read for at least an hour. Alright. Once more, Chat SCP, I will add that to the reading list. But as I've stated many times, I've already decided on what's being read today. The full list is in the description if you wanted to know ahead of time. Including links to the articles. Man. Whew. 1 second. I need to rub my eyes. Bash my head back into paying attention. Starting to drift off a little bit. Nice. Anyway, how y'all doing? Y'all doing good? Y'all cozy? Tucked in? Ready for the spooky night? It is Halloween after all. Happy Halloween, everybody. Alright, we're going to read one more and then we're going to take a break. This is the approximate halfway marker. Alright. Decided to actually create that story. Hell yeah, dude. I believe in your success. Alright. The Greenhouse. Item number SCP-197. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-197 is maintained on site by local research team Beta-5 Green Thumbs. Plants may not be removed from SCP-197 without permission from the plant, Dr. Kingsley, and appropriate documentation. Plants which are removed from SCP-197 must be monitored and retrieved if necessary. To maintain secrecy, SCP-197 has been emptied and abandoned. Under cooperation with local city officials, the building and many other nearby structures have been condemned. On-site security are to check the premises on a weekly basis to physically remove any plant material. The use of fire is not recommended, unless it is necessary to facilitate the total removal of any vegetation found within SCP-197. Herbicides are to be applied on a monthly basis to discourage any future attempt at growth. Description: SCP-197 is a plant nursery and greenhouse located at blank. Currently, the site is abandoned, although previous containment procedures were to maintain the location as a nursery. Most of the anomalous properties of SCP-197 are located within the glass structure of the greenhouse. Although research conducted at the time of the site's abandonment suggests that SCP-197 has a wide sympathetic influence on the surrounding area, which has displayed a level of deterioration equal to 197 itself, equal to SCP-197 itself. Organisms within the Kingdom Plantae that grow within or are introduced to the greenhouse take on additional characteristics, including self-awareness, sensory awareness, sapience, and capacity for language and mobility. Despite a lack of nervous system, brain, sensory organs, vocal cords, or musculature. Organisms also typically have an increased growth rate and elongated lifespan. Angiosperms that flower only at night, or for short periods of time, will be in a perpetual state of bloom while within SCP-197. Organisms removed from SCP-197 cease to display anomalous properties, but will retain their hardiness and overall health. Organisms which lose their sapience upon removal from SCP-197 will regain it upon reintroduction with no change in personality. With few exceptions, these organisms do not appear to greatly value their sentience, and are often eager to leave SCP-197, despite being unable to experience the world outside as anything other than a typical member of their species. All organisms animated by SCP-197 displayed positive personality traits. and affection for Foundation personnel and other forms of life. Even carnivorous plants introduced as part of Experiment 197-63, Seymour. SCP-197 duty was often used as both a reward and therapy for agents and researchers who have concluded a stressful assignment or experienced a traumatizing event, as interactions with animated organisms were almost universally described as relaxing. Under the direction of the late Dr. Kingsley, SCP-197 testing involved distribution of organisms cultivated within SCP-197 to the public at large. A positive influence upon the poor urban community around SCP-197 was noted immediately, with both a reduction in crime and an increase to the average standard of living that has equally been reversed following the condemnation of SCP-197. Dr. Kingsley theorized that this was the result of SCP-197 itself, creating a cycle of nurturing symbiosis between the community and plant life. Addendum. Testing and maintenance of SCP-197 was halted following Incident 197-A644. Ahila Kingsley's decapitated body was found within the greenhouse, her severed head cradled within an empty flower pot, being held by an ivy that had been present at the site since the time of its discovery. Ahila was the daughter of lead researcher Dr. Kingsley, and a trained botanist who was alone inside SCP-197 at the time of her death. This was the first instance of any act of violence on the part of organisms raised within SCP-197. The ivy plant responsible for the killing compared its action to picking a pretty flower, and displayed no remorse, although it expressed concern over Dr. Kingsley's reaction and well-being. All organisms distributed from SCP-197 were retrieved and eradicated. Those within SCP-197 were eradicated upon removal from the site. With the exception of the ivy, data expunged. It's just like picking a flower. You know what that reminds me of? A form of life completely not comprehending what constitutes death in another. In this instance, a plant cutting off a part of a human, thinking it would be harmless. It reminds me of Ender's Game, Speaker for the Dead. Specifically, it reminds me of the pig people, the pig aliens, who their form of reproduction includes killing and tearing open one of their own so that they can coalesce into a tree that blooms and then births more pig people. And they do this to honored members of the community. It is an honor to become a tree. And they did not understand why humans did not like that they did it to them. And it was a big thing because some of the pig people did it to one of the close researchers. And they were very baffled when he didn't eventually turn into a tree. It was a whole thing. I know Certain Scott Card might be a little bit of a weirdo sometimes with some of his other books, but Ender's Game is a pretty good series. Anyway, we've been going for an hour and a half. My throat needs a break. So we're going to go for a quick break. Get up, walk around, stretch your legs, get a drink, all that good stuff. And we will be right back.
Hey, howdy. Guess who's back? It's me, Aliulo. Who could it be? I already told you who it was. Well, well, well. What do we have here? You know what I have? Hey, finished recording. Alright. Got that. Exported. That's what I did on the break. So we didn't have to do it during the actual time, and now I'm going to be doing some shuffling around. As I pull the next set onto the reading bar. So, here's our next set of articles. This sword looks like a piece of poop. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Should take us another hour or two. And then I'll chop it out, and these will come out as little individual things over time. We're still debating whether to leave the chopped out versions on this channel or to put them up on a different one. If they stay up here, I will not be sending out notifications for them anymore. Thinking dildo. Too many tiny edges. That'd be no good. That'd get caught on all kinds of things. Yeah. I'm kind of boned at this point. Because, like, either the stream, both the streams and the readings are way too deep on this channel. I can't get rid of either one of them and move them. I don't know. I don't know. Ah, well. Who cares? Anyway. Time to get back to work. Moving on to 216. Mark where this is. The safe. Item number SCP-216. Object class safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-216 currently resides in Laboratory 5. Access requires Level 2 clearance. Insertion of recording devices into SCP-216 is prohibited without O5 approval. Description: SCP-216 is a 35.6 centimeter, 14-inch, high iron safe with a multiple dial combination lock. The lock has 7 dials each, with numbers ranging from 0 to 9. The combination cannot be changed while the door is open.
The weight of the device appears to fluctuate in an obtuse manner. See Document 88-B. The door of SCP-216 can always be opened, but the accessible interior space appears to change depending on the currently entered combination. Objects placed inside SCP-216 may be accessed by re-entering the combination that was configured when the object was inserted. Objects retrieved from SCP-216 appear to be undamaged by the device. It is speculated that every possible lock combination results in a different interior, and that there are approximately 4 million available compartments. It is unknown how many objects currently reside inside SCP-216. An engraving found on the bottom of the safe reads 4/3/4. It has been hypothesized that the compartments of SCP-216 are shared with 3 other devices of a similar nature. This hypothesis is consistent with the findings reported in Document 88-B. Document 88-A. Dr. Blank initial test log. Combination lock set to 6692724. Combination lock set to 6692724 and door opened. Compartment appears empty. 1 notebook and pencil placed inside and door closed. Combination lock set to 6692725 and door opened. Compartment appears empty. Combination lock reset to 6692724 and door opened. Notebook and pencil retrieved from compartment. Note: SCP-216 appears to be a very efficient storage solution. Dr. Blank. Document number 88-B. Dr. Blank test log. Testing the effect of inserted items on the SCP's total mass. Total mass of unit before inserting item: 935.877 kilograms. Notebook and pencil: total mass 350 grams. Inserted into SCP-216 and door closed. Total mass of unit after inserting item: 935.965 kilograms. Expected mass: 936.227 kilograms. Actual mass: 935.965 kilograms. Difference: 262 grams. Testing shows that SCP-216 takes on approximately 25% of the mass of its content, suggesting the mass is distributed evenly between SCP-216 and the 3 other hypothesized devices. Document number 122-A. Dr. Blank test log. Compartment 00000000 through 00000206 checked for contents. Compartment 00000000 found to contain traces of sawdust. Compartment 00000001 through 00000206 found to be empty. Further testing arranged. Document number 152-D. Dr. Blank test log. Compartment 00000332 through 00000398. Each compartment had a body part from Blank, a 28-year-old female who had been reported missing on Blank 2000 and blank. Contents removed for identification and then incinerated. Liver, spleen, and lungs not recovered. Document number 159-B. Dr. Blank test log. Compartment 00000409. A live wolverine. Gulo. Adult male. with a mass of 30 kilograms. Upon the door being opened, it attacked and killed Dr. Blank, and mutilated 2 nearby D-Class personnel, before being shot 5 times by guards. Autopsy of the Wolverine revealed no anomalies. Subsequent examination of compartment 00000409 has revealed it now contains only loose Wolverine hair, with residual traces of Wolverine urine and Wolverine anal musk. Document number 160-A. Dr. Blank Test Log. Compartment 00000456. A fully loaded Glock 19 handgun with a round in the chamber, and 1 regular flavor Klondike bar ice cream dessert. The ice cream bar was not melted, cold to the touch, and remained so as long as it was in the compartment. It was removed for inspection, and began to melt within 2 minutes. It was placed back in the compartment, the door closed for 3 hours, and then reopened. The ice cream bar was in the same slightly melted state as when it was placed back 3 hours prior. The ice cream bar was removed, placed in a freezer in the nearby second floor cafeteria for 1 hour. After 1 hour, it was placed back into the compartment, with a handgun and the door closed. Document number 161-A. Dr. Blank Test Log. Chamber 00000501, confirmed to be empty, had 1 standard Foundation GPS unit placed inside it. When the chamber was sealed, GPS failed. Data from the unit upon retrieval showed that the satellite was unable to confirm source location during this time. Document number 174-B. Dr. King Test Log. Chamber 6162384, 51 apple seeds. Chamber 1846563, 22 apple seeds. Chamber 2960104, 9 apple seeds. Chamber 8585821, 78 apple seeds. Chamber 1111111, 1 heavily decomposed apple. Document number 152-E. Dr. Blank Test Log. On April 16th, blank, all previously checked compartments were opened with the intention of confirming contents. When compartments 0000332 to 0000398 were opened, individual body parts were found corresponding to an unknown male, arranged in the same order as found in Experiment 152-D, including the liver, spleen, and lungs. All previous traces of tissue from Experiment 152-D, which had not been cleaned, were found to have been sterilized from these compartments. Pursuant to Request 405 Directive, body parts were placed back into their compartments. Containment procedures currently under review. Document number 162-A. Dr. Blank Test Log. Testing performed by Dr. Blank. 1. Blank digital video camera recorder was set to record and placed in compartment 5500000, oriented so as to face outwards toward the door. The door was closed, and compartment 5500001 was opened. Compartment 5500001 was found to be empty. The door was closed. Compartment 5500000 was opened again, and the video camera recorder was retrieved. Upon viewing the recorded footage, Dr. Blank suffered from a transient ischemic attack The recorded footage shows Dr. Blank placing the video camera inside the safe and closing the door. No time passes before the door is reopened, and the video camera is retrieved from the safe. This is inconsistent with the scene reported by Dr. Blank. No audible sound is present on the recorded footage. A subsequent analysis of the video camera revealed that several internal components of the camera had been fractured. Document number 162-B. Dr. Blank test log. Data expunged. Data expunged. Document number 162-D. Dr. Blank test log. One tape recorder was placed inside compartment 550000, and the door was closed. Several other compartments were opened and closed before returning to compartment 550000 and retrieving the tape recorder. The following file has been reported to cause disorientation, nausea, sweating, a sense of overwhelming despair, abdominal pains, panic attacks, migraines, and strokes. This file should only be listened to in a secure environment. Do not drive or operate heavy machinery for up to 24 hours after listening to this file. Refrain from making quick eye movements while listening to this file. Aliens. It's alien music. By God. What will you do for a Klondike bar? Would you kill a man? Apparently this guy would. Dude, it's like a bag of holding. My God. That's crazy. Stretch yet again. As always, aliens. God damn it. Those damn alien bastards. They're real. Alrighty. Let's go right into number 2 then, shall we? I don't want to be here all night, so gonna be going pretty fast. A photo album. Item number SCP-223. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures SCP-223 is kept in a locked containment vault in Site-19. If the two photos missing from SCP-223 are recovered, they should be stored in two separate, specially prepared vaults at Site-17. Any personnel who see any anomalies appear anywhere in SCP-223 must be reassigned to another project immediately. Such personnel must be kept under observation for mental instability, including tri-weekly examination by a site psychiatrist, and are advised to minimize their exposure to photographs of any kind. Description: SCP-223 is a photo album capable of holding 30 photos, bound like a small hardcover book. The photos are attached to the pages with an unknown adhesive. It matches the appearance of a product made by blank, but lacks any brand label. "From Danny with Love" has been written on the back in blue ink. SCP-223 contains 28 photos, which chronicle an engaged couple's vacation to blank beach. The final 2 pages of the album have been ripped out. The couple in the photo have been positively identified as E and L, who went on the vacation depicted June of 19 blank. E and L died on June blank in a murder-suicide by E. E's suicide note claimed he found his fiancée in bed with another man and killed her. However, no evidence of such an affair was ever found. There is one other person who frequently appears in the photos of SCP-223, a Caucasian male with attractive and somewhat androgynous features. Designation SCP-223-1. Based on his behavior in the photos, he seems to be a friend of the couple. All attempts to determine the identity of SCP-223-1 have proven fruitless. -1 does not appear in photos and recorded footage of SCP-223, although careful comparative analysis of the photos and data expunged. Occasionally, persons reading SCP-223 will see the likeness of their romantic interest in one or more of SCP-223's photos, replacing an incidental bystander. Independent observers can verify that the photos do in fact change. However, these anomalies are always discovered by the individual they most concern. SCP-223 seems to target readers who are in a stable, happy romantic relationship with these anomalies. SCP-223 apparently can only target one person at a time in this way. If the discoverer of the anomaly, hereafter the target, continues to read SCP-223, their perceptions of the album's contents will change radically. While any other reader continues to see the original photos, the target will see an album of photos of their romantic partner, interacting with an androgynous but attractive member of the target's sex. The target invariably reacts with jealousy and suspicion, and if allowed, will search for the final 2 pages, believing that the contents will prove whether or not the target's partner is cheating. The effects of SCP-223 on a given target wear off completely within 1 week, unless the target is exposed to new photos or SCP-223. At this point, the current target's love interest's likeness will vanish from the album, and the target can safely view ordinary photographs. A former target attempting to view SCP-223's photographs will see redacted. If not allowed contact with SCP-223 following the initial discovery, the target's perception of other photographs will also be altered. The nature of these alterations varies depending on the contents of the photos. but the majority involve the inclusion of a humanoid similar to -1. Pictures including both the target and the target's romantic partner seem to be the most psychologically damaging to view. Exposure to a sufficiently large number of photographs seemed to cause a brainwashing effect in the target, creating a strong delusion of great danger that can only be resolved by returning the missing photos to SCP-223. This appears to be caused by a long succession of subliminal messages and traumatizing images, rather than by any actual psychic influence. Psych Report 223-6. Dr. Morris. Blank. 19 blank. Interview log.
Please be seated. How long has it been since your first exposure? About a week? Yeah, that's right, 7 days. It's all kind of blurred. How do you feel? Sort of paranoid. Edgy. Like he's watching me from somewhere. Somehow. Any update on the missing photos? Who do you mean by he? The man we call 223-1. From the photos, he's... Yes? Have you been exposed to any photos since your last visit? No. Good. What do you see here?
Photos of a grizzly bear drinking from a pool.
It seems to be a photo of two bears mating. Very well. And this?
Photos of a bed. No figures present.
Naked man seated on a bed. Look, it's been a week, right? You can let me go. I've got to find those photos. You seem extremely interested in SCP-223's missing photographs. Why? I gotta prove Lily's innocence. I've gotta prove Lily's innocence. Dr. Morris, your wife is in no danger. We discovered nearly 20 photographs hidden in and around your quarters, Dr. Morris. Whatever you saw in those photos is not real.
Lunging at the examiner, restrained by guards.
Liar! You're working for them, aren't you?
To guards.
Take him away for now. Wait! Wait! When can I see Lily again?
Log ends. Note: Morris was given a Class A amnestic and has now returned to his full duties. Mr. Morris has been informed that her husband is dead. Addendum 223-1. Further analysis of E's autopsy report indicates that several of the wounds found on his body could not have been self-inflicted. Therefore, suicide has been ruled out as the cause of death. There is no evidence of anyone other than E entering or leaving the scene of the crime for at least 24 hours before and after his death. Although, redacted one of the walls. Scandalous. Proper scandalous. Oh, man.
They're in the walls. They're in the goddamn walls.
You think it's just like a cheeky, possessed photo? That just likes fucking with people? Is what it sounds like to me. Hilarious. Omega lol. Alrighty. Next. Animation. Item number 243. Level 2 restricted. Containment class. Safe. Disruption class. Vlam. Risk class. Caution. Special containment procedures. SCP-243 is to be secured in the geometric center of a standard containment cell, no less than 16 meter by 16 meters by 16 meters. The cell is to be connected to an adjacent room of similar size and composition by one standard door. All exits to the cells are to be kept locked and guarded against unauthorized access. No eligible group, more than 4 identical inanimate objects, see below, is permitted into the containment cell, nor any item capable of producing such a group, except as necessary for testing. Personnel entering the cell are subject to search and seizure of unauthorized multiples. Objects animated by SCP-243 are to be removed to the adjacent room for study. Undesirable animated items are to be disposed of promptly, by incineration if appropriate. In the event that SCP-243 is applied to other SCP objects, or to other items of similar value, the flock is to be separated and held in standard safe, or Euclid class inanimate object, or Euclid class inanimate item lockers until the effects wear off. Following Incident 243-2, bringing eligible groups of weapons, easily weaponized objects, or dry cell batteries into SCP-243's containment is strictly forbidden. Description: SCP-243 is a mass of small dry cell batteries, all fused at their negative terminals into an ellipsoid approximately 30 centimeters long by 10 centimeters diameter. The arrangement is semi-fluid. The batteries may be rearranged by applying gentle pressure, though it is far more difficult to remove them from the central cylinder. SCP-243's unusual properties manifest when an eligible group of objects is brought into its active zone, an area of indeterminate shape extending no more than 7.3 meters, or less than 2.5 meters from the center of the item. The active zone's precise extent and shape change from minute to minute. An eligible group consists of 5 or more identical or nearly identical inanimate objects. Nearly identical items are those that a casual observer cannot easily distinguish based on attributes other than overall color. Eligible group members animate when brought into the active zone, displaying unusual flexibility and powers of levitation and locomotion. They acquire a few basic instincts, including self-preservation and variously complex flocking behavior. Object flocks range from simple separation alignment cohesion groups, like flocks of birds or shoals of fish, to aggregates involving role specialization and formation of discrete subunits. Animated objects also, secondarily to flocking, tend to behave in ways thematically appropriate to an object of their type. Umbrellas form large shades, chairs make themselves available as seating, knives seek out objects to cut, etc. An item separated from the flock wanders aimlessly or searches for other flock members. Approximately 4 hours after separation, the item goes dormant and loses all apparent unusual properties. At this point, reuniting it with its group renders it animate again. 25 minutes after going dormant, it becomes permanently inanimate, losing all unusual properties and reverting to a normal object of its type. Whether intact or missing members, a flock deanimates permanently. 24 plus or minus 2 hours after initial exposure to SCP-243. Flocks displaying complex shoaling behavior frequently fuse, upon deanimation, into aggregates representative of that behavior. Addendum. SCP-243 came to the Foundation's attention following a series of suspicious incidents involving Blank Animation Studios. The unusually fluid, natural motion depicted in the cartoons produced would not ordinarily have attracted attention. But data expunged. Every desk lamp in the facility, data expunged. The effects wore off in the usual 24 hours. Class A amnestics were administered to the animators involved and their families, all of whom remain under surveillance. Future Blank productions are to be monitored carefully for evidence of further interference. Note: compare the characters in Blank film Knick-Knack to SCP-1507. Further interference. Researcher Killian. Ah, God. It's like that one stop-motion episode of Gravity Falls with a claymation. That's a good fucking show, dude.
That's just like Gravity Falls.
Guy who's only seen Gravity Falls says. Ugh. Can't believe I missed out on that show, man. But then again, I didn't have a television. So, you know. Ooh. Stretch my back. Alright. Hydrate. Or dehydrate if you don't. We ain't even halfway done. We got another 5. We're about to be halfway done, though. Because we got this sword here. This one's gonna be long. Because it's got addendums. Whoa. Alrighty. Clark's third favorite sword. Item number: SCP-287. Object class: Safe. Special containment procedures. SCP-287 is stored in a climate-controlled secure locker in Site-22 in order to prevent additional deterioration. At this time, no additional testing is required, but may be approved by Dr. Sigurd Olafsson. Sources of electricity are to be kept away from SCP-287's locker at all times. If testing with SCP-287 is required, insulated gloves are to be worn to prevent accidental discharge into the hilt. SCP-287-1's remains are to be kept in storage until further notice. Research requests for SCP-287-1 can be routed to Dr. Zarshin and are restricted to Level 4 personnel or Level 2 personnel from the Exobiology Department. Description: SCP-287 is a Viking armed sword. SCP-287 is a Viking arming sword, measuring 78 centimeters from pommel to tip, and weighing 1,076 grams. SCP-287 is in a state of significant decay due to exposure to outside elements, for anywhere from 900 to 1100 years. SCP-287 was found in blank, Iceland, alongside several written records. See Discovery Log. SCP-287 is comprised primarily of iron, with several potentially anomalous components incorporated into its structure. Several of these materials have been detected by Foundation probes traveling within extrasolar regions of our galaxy, as well as probes which, redacted. Carbon dating has placed SCP-287's creation to around the early 10th century CE. Samples of exoplanetary metals and materials have proven to be more difficult to date, and analysis is ongoing. SCP-287's anomalous effect can be observed when an electrical current is applied through the metallic portions of the hilt, exposed just below the guard. These exposed elements are in a noticeably better state than the iron portions of SCP-287. SCP-287's internal components will begin to emit several frequencies of EM radiation, and varying sounds invariably described as distressing by research staff and test subjects. Radiation produced by SCP-287 causes all humans who are exposed to it to experience acute audio-visual hallucinations and severe headaches. SCP-287's specific hallucination takes the form of translucent, human-like figures in the immediate vicinity, invariably outfitted as members of an armed force. The armament and armor worn by SCP-287's hallucinations varies by subject, with a general trend towards the individual's perception of what they consider to be modern armament. Testing with animals, as well as non-anomalous EM fields and sounds with the exact same frequencies, do not produce the same effect in any combination of cases. Higher amperage currents have increased this effect to a maximum of 437 individual hallucinations. See document R27-287 for specific amperage/count levels. Further testing was deemed unnecessary. SCP-287-1 is believed to be an extraterrestrial organism found in the same location as SCP-287. The exact origin of SCP-287-1 is unknown at this time. A full report on -1 can be found in document R27-287-1. See Addendum B for a partial report. -1's potential spacecraft, designated SCP-287-2, see Addendum B for a partial report, appears to be completely destroyed. The current working hypothesis for -2 is that it was intended as some form of escape pod from a larger vessel. Discovery: SCP-287 was recovered from a burial mound outside of blank, Iceland, on January blank, 2000 blank. See Addendum A for details. The remains found within the tomb proved to be non-human, and the Foundation took custody of SCP-287, and the remains were designated -1. -1's remains are skeletal and are humanoid, though significantly different from human skeletal structure. Additionally, several written sources were found within the tomb and acquired by the Foundation. Dr. Sigurd Olafsson was consulted to help translate the writing, which is attached below. See Addendum A. Addendum A. Prepared by the Department of Terra Linguistics. The discovery of SCP-287 was predicated upon reports of ghost soldiers in an area outside of blank, Iceland. A recent storm had struck the burial mound containing SCP-287, conducting current into SCP-287 through a crude lightning rod made of iron. The hallucinations created by SCP-287 affected an amateur film crew. The crew informed local authorities, and Foundation information gathering subroutines flagged these reports as potentially anomalous. Keywords: ghost, specter, crazy, kids, hallucination, with a double correlation factor of gamma 6. Last amnestics were administered to all witnessing parties, and the burial site was declared a heritage dig site through a Foundation shell corporation. Within the burial mound, Foundation agents discovered SCP-287, SCP-287-1, and additional written materials dating back to the early 10th century CE. A transcription was created by Dr. Sigurd Olafsson. Unintelligible sections are most likely proper nouns, with no direct translation.
I am Halvor Skadisson, Skald of.
Unintelligible.
And I have been trusted with the tale of Thor's champion, the Meteor Lord. In the depths of winter, the year after the Great Raid, we saw a fiery meteor in the sky. It landed deep in the heart of the northern wastes, and we followed it. A wondrous thing it was, gleaming and covered in ghost lights. We approached and found a man standing in a heavy cloak, examining the meteor. The ghost lights went dark, and the figure pressed his hand to the outside of the star. A wondrous light filled our eyes as the star opened. He disappeared into the meteor and emerged to look at us with such fiery determination in his eyes. We knew he could only be a king, sent to us from Odin himself. He would protect us from the raids, and we would know prosperity again. Our prayers had been answered. Daily did the elders of our village come to his resting site, but his own tongue was blessed only to speak the language of the Aesir. Weeks passed as he learned our language. When he learned of our plight, he appeared to grow angry and charged back to the meteor to fashion himself a mighty weapon with which to defend the village. Weeks later he emerged, with a sword in his hand, gleaming and mighty. He held it aloft, and his power was made manifest. Ghostly warriors, heroes from Valhalla stood around him, brandishing weapons. We threw ourselves on the ground, our heads aching with the glory of these Valhalla warriors, and this pleased the Meteor Lord. For years, when the raids came, we ran in supplication to the Meteor Lord. He emerged, and all fled from his flashing blade and burning eyes. We marked the way to the Meteor Lord's home with the Cairn Stones. During the Battle of
Unintelligible.
The Meteor Lord's fall came. His powers failed him, and Odin recalled him to Valhalla. We buried him with all the honor we could muster, and fashioned a conduit for the great storms from Thor. On stormy nights, the heroes still come and watch over our village, their glory splitting the head of any man who dare look upon them.
Addendum B. Prepared by the Department of Exolinguistics. Tracing back from the story presented in the included writings, Foundation agents tracked down the meteor mentioned in the epic translated by Dr. Olafsson. Excavating the object in question led to an almond-shaped craft made of an unknown material. Research regarding this craft can be found in document R27-287. Within the craft, several records were found, written in an unknown language upon crude paper. It is hypothesized that this is some kind of journal of -1. An exact translation is nearly impossible, however, using redacted. A partial translation has been attempted. Timestamp. Unknown symbology. Unknown place. Unknown people. Primitive. Violent. Untranslated. Didn't survive. Everything is lost. Must find a way back. Too many counting on me. Timestamp. Unknown symbology theorized to be several days later. They found me. Managed to put together blank. Hood. They won't see me. Must learn their language. Must keep them away from me. Unknown biology. May infect. Timestamp. Unknown symbology theorized to be several weeks later. I see their weapons. Mine non-functional. Made one like theirs. Used last of the untranslated. Tuned to alien brain chemistry. Hope it scares them off. Not sure how much longer I can work on untranslated. Not having most likely a proper noun. Nearby is unbearable, dying, breaking. Timestamp. Unknown symbology. Unknown time. Came back. I used the weapon. Scares them. Untranslated. Almost done. May be able to leave. Down to 16 cells, items, spheres. Timestamp. Unknown symbology. Unknown time. They brought others. I scared them again. Not sure if I can repair the untranslated. Thought I had enough. Closest match was a chemical formula, matching SCP-148. Used, most likely a proper nouns. Necklace. Still not enough. Timestamp. Unknown symbology theorized to be several years later. Won't stop coming. Only one. Cells, items, spheres. Left. Time running out. Power nearly gone. I can't repair. Untranslated. Too many. Unit of time. It is hypothesized that at this point, whatever power source SCP-287-1 was using to activate SCP-287 ran out. SCP-287-1 was most likely killed during the next raid, without SCP-287 to protect them.
Oh my god.
Is that one of those Roswell Greys from Stargate? Is that Thor? The Thor? Poor guy was hella lost, dude.
These damn animal alien people won't stop bothering me. I'm just trying to go back to space, dude.
He never managed to learn their language. Unfortunate. Shut up, phone. I forgot to turn off that alarm. My apologies. That's the 9 o'clock alarm. Wow. They thought that he was on their side. He never knew what the hell was going on ever. Unfortunate. Alrighty. Next. Almost out of water here. Moving right along. Egg timer of deja vu. Item number SCP-292. Object class Euclid. Special containment procedures. SCP-292 is to be kept at Site-72, in a guarded room in a locked, padded container, set up to avoid movement of or damage to SCP-292. Access to SCP-292 is prohibited without Level 3 authorization. Site personnel must report all incidents of deja vu or related symptoms to site administration. Description: SCP-292 is a 60-second brass hourglass, 10 centimeters tall. When all its sand is at the bottom and SCP-292 is flipped over, only two outcomes have ever been observed. Either the sand runs out normally after 1 minute, or SCP-292 is knocked over on its side. If SCP-292 is knocked over, anomalous properties do not again manifest until all the sand in SCP-292 is in one bulb. At no time has SCP-292 ever been observed to be flipped over a second time within 60 seconds, except when knocked over, as above. At any time SCP-292 is upright and all its sand is in its bottom bulb, and a subject attempts to flip SCP-292 over, with the intent to flip it again before all its sand runs out, the subject and people nearby suddenly experience deja vu. The intensity of deja vu is inversely proportional to a person's distance from SCP-292. The subject is often momentarily stunned by the experience. Persons experiencing deja vu from the same event often describe similar, recalled experiences. It is believed that when SCP-292 is flipped over, a process is started in which, if SCP-292 is flipped again before its sands run out, time flows in reverse, to a point a couple of seconds before SCP-292 was initially flipped. Footnote: this effect is similar in nature to that of SCP-1876, albeit with different psychological effects on those experiencing the phenomenon. Time then flows forward again, as if SCP-292 were never flipped. Deja vu would thus be a side effect of this process. Prolonged exposure to SCP-292 can cause nausea, migraines, vertigo, hallucinations, seizures, and symptoms consistent with temporal disjunction, somatic, psychological, or both. Footnote: more information can be found in Document 292/48K. Theoretical and observed symptoms of temporally related afflictions. Addendum 1, Experiment 292-31. Procedure: Subject 03101 was instructed to flip SCP-292 over, and then shoot Subject 03102 to death and flip SCP-292 back over before it runs out. Results: as Subject 01 reached for SCP-292, both subjects as well as other personnel in the area reported feeling deja vu. Subject 1 exhibited elevated levels of adrenaline, while Subject 2 exhibited pronounced apprehension in the presence of Subject 1. Addendum 2, Experiment 292-46. Procedure: Subject 04601 was instructed to flip SCP-292 over, wait 30 seconds, and flip SCP-292 back over. When deja vu was experienced, Subject 04602 was instructed to do the same thing. When deja vu was experienced a second time, Subject 04603 was instructed to do the same thing. Results: as Subject 1 reached for SCP-292, all subjects experienced deja vu as expected. Subject 2 hesitated and was instructed to flip SCP-292. While reaching for SCP-292, Subject 2 fell to his knees, Subject 1 doubled over, and Subject 3 staggered. Subject 3 was instructed to flip SCP-292, and as he reached for SCP-292, all subjects appeared to exhibit temporal shock. Footnote: IBID. I don't know what that means. Or 10 to 15 seconds before falling unconscious. Temporal symptoms subsided within 5 to 7 days. Temporal symptoms subsided within 5 to 7 days, while visual and audio hallucinations persisted for several months more. Addendum 3, Incident 292-4. While preparing for Experiment 292-75, Dr. Blank suddenly clutched SCP-292 to his chest and reported he had just experienced deja vu. Dr. Blank said that it felt like he was about to drop SCP-292, and if he did, something bad would happen. Dr. Blank hypothesized that Dr. Blank had indeed dropped SCP-292. But instead of breaking, SCP-292 reversed the flow of time until a moment before it was dropped. If SCP-292 does in fact possess such a self-preservation system, the potential consequences: data expunged. Reclassification to Euclid approved. Blank. 2000. Blank. Until more information on SCP-292's properties can be gathered and analyzed. Oh my god, is that the Prince of Persia, Sands of Time? With the silly dagger? A game that I've never played, but I always wish I could have. The only exposure I've ever had was like a 5-minute demo at a Walmart. You remember those little things you had, and it had like at the game aisle in Walmart, and it had the controller, and there was a little TV screen, and it had like a little short demo, and you could play it for a little bit. That's the only exposure to that game I've had properly. Always wanted to play it though. Heard it's really good. Alrighty. Maybe we'll play it one day. I say about the other 600 games I have on my to-play list. Anyway. Next. Caterpillars. Item number: SCP-295. Object class: Euclid. Special containment procedures. SCP-295 is to be contained within a 50-meter by 50-meter concrete room, with all surfaces coated with flame-retardant material. All personnel entering and exiting containment must comply with Level 3 contamination screening. 3 flame-retardant exposure suits are to be maintained on the premises, and are required for any and all testing involving SCP-295. Feeding will occur once per week, and consists of a meal of 20 kilograms of naturally grown pine wood, harvested near the Site-19 facility. Description: SCP-295 is a number of caterpillars resembling Centometa epilace in appearance. A single specimen of SCP-295 is capable of creating an unidentifiable substance, which has several unique qualities attributed to it. SCP-295 possesses similar physical attributes to a common caterpillar, with a notable exception being SCP-295's incredible speed when in pursuit of sustenance. When flammable material is introduced into SCP-295's environment, it will quickly move to attempt to consume it. The substance produced by SCP-295, hereby known as SCP-295-1, is a viscous fluid that possesses natural bioluminescence of variable intensity, averaging at approximately 150,000 lumens. The intensity fades over time, but sufficient heat is capable of renewing its incandescence. However, the danger lies in its other quality, which is its ability to cause violent combustion in any flammable object it comes in contact with. All matter destroyed in this manner leaves no ash or other byproducts behind. Although an increase in mass has been observed in specimens of SCP-295 after combustion. A notable exception is living animal matter, which SCP-295-1 is incapable of affecting in all circumstances. SCP-295 is capable of reproduction given sufficient matter to combust, or when a specific mass has been attained. When this occurs, SCP-295 will pupate, forming a shell of dense carbon with a similar molecular structure to coal. Once a week has passed, both the pupa and the specimen will combust, while the ashes reform into 2 additional caterpillars, after which the process begins anew. Occasionally, only one specimen of SCP-295 will reform from the resultant ashes, rather than a pair. These ashes will not always reform immediately, and can remain inert. Ashes left on personnel's clothing can reform later, and further spread to SCP-295's population. SCP-295 was discovered in blank, Ukraine, after a series of improbable and volatile forest fires had reduced a large swath of forests into barren wastes. Agent Blank, who had family in the area, noted that the fires had left not a single thing in their wake. When Dr. Blank was dispatched to investigate, he found a complete lack of life and vegetation, with the exception of a species of caterpillar that was not local to the area. What had alarmed him more, however, was the sudden destruction of his clothing and belongings by a swarm of starved SCP-295s. After several attempts, and more than a few changes of clothing, SCP-295 was brought to Site-19 and safely contained. Addendum 295-A. Despite months of regular feeding, the number of specimens have neither declined, nor have they increased since being contained. The cycle of reproduction has stayed consistent, and with the majority of recorded combustion resulting in 2 new specimens. How the population has kept itself in check is unknown at this time. Addendum 295-B. See Incident 295-K. Addendum 295-C. It's possible that there are still wild specimens of SCP-295 out in the world, considering the trouble we have containing it in the lab. Any attempts to contain population of SCP-295 in the field are to be made on location, with the intent to isolate and terminate. Note: this stuff has some serious potential for weaponization. If you could get enough of it out of the little worms, find a way to carry and dispense it, you put Napalm to shame. Agent Blank. Addendum 259-D. See Experiment Log 259-1-A. Experiment Log 259. Experiment Log 295-1-A. Experiment Log of Dr. Kondraki, testing practical uses of SCP-295-1. Date: blank to blank. Experiment 1. Human consumption testing. Materials: 5 milliliters of -1. Procedure: Class D personnel given -1 to Class D personnel given -1 to ingest. Result: subject reported mild heartburn and nausea, but no serious adverse effects observed. Subject's digestive system temporarily operated at 25% additional efficiency. Experiment 2. Usage as a portable source of light. Materials: 20 milliliters of -1. Glass tubing. Rubber grip. Lighter. Procedure: glass tubing filled with -1, reinforced by rubber grip. Result: Device produced sufficient light to completely illuminate an area of 31 meters squared at 1600-145 LX. Not a fucking Lexus. Lux. Okay. At 16,145 lux for several hours. Applying a lighter to the surface of the glass relit the solution completely. Experiment 3. Usage as an incendiary device. Materials: 200 milliliters of -1, glass globe. Procedure: globe filled with -1 and thrown into wooden test structure. Result: all material that came in contact with -1 instantly combusted as expected. Remaining structure of the building burned abnormally quickly from secondary conflagration. Only 20% of the structure's initial mass remained after testing. Note: immediately following the conclusion of this test, approximately 56% of captive SCP-295 specimens began to pupate. Dr. Kondraki. Experiment 4. Usage as a lighter fluid. Materials: 100 milliliters of -1, 1 bag of consumer-grade charcoal, mid-range coal grill, 2 beef burger patties. Procedure: -1 poured onto coal, while beef patties are prepared. Result: data expunged. Note: I cannot fathom the lack of census required. Consider your position as an assistant terminated and your security level revoked. Hope that gives you something to think about in between skin grafts. Addendum 295E. See Experiment Log 295-1-B. Experiment Log 295-1-B. Experiment Log of Agent T, testing practical uses of -1. Experiments overseen and approved by Dr. Blank. Date: blank. Experiment 1. Usage as lighter fluid, revised. Materials: 1 milliliter -1, 500 grams consumer-grade charcoal, mid-range coal grill, 2 by 100 grams beef burger patties. Procedure: coals arranged in a standard rough cone. -1 applied to 3 coals. Tester wore standard silver suit heat protection gear. Result: the treated coals combusted almost instantly, as expected. Remaining coals ignited very quickly. Patties cooked in approximately half expected time. Cooked patties, when tested in laboratory, showed no evidence of any unusual components. Note: as expected, the secondary fires produce only normal combustion products and effects. And whoever came up with the first lighter fluid test, you people are supposed to be research assistants. Perhaps next time you should do some research when you design a test. Dr. Kondraki let you off easy. Agent T. Experiment 2. Possible application for rescue work. Materials: 1 D-class personnel, 1 steel girder, 1 milliliter -1, 20-gram thermite paste. Procedure: Class D's leg trapped under girder. A line of thermite paste was placed on the girder upslope from the pinned leg. -1 applied to the thermite paste. Result: the thermite ignited and combusted almost instantly, severing the girder with almost no splatter or spark. The upslope section fell to the ground. Water sprayed over the severed end, steamed only slightly and briefly. Class D was not harmed. Note: just what I'd hoped for. The thermite released its energy and burned through the steel it was actually touching. The reaction was too fast for much heat to transfer to the rest of the girder. This could be a very useful intrusion technique in addition to its rescue applications. Agent T. Experiment 3. Effects in oxygen-deprived environment. Materials: 1 filled 10-liter aquarium, 1 lead weight, 1 100-gram untreated oak block, 1 non-flammable syringe, 1 ml-1, 1 milliliter-1. Procedure: the oak sample was weighted down in the aquarium, then injected with -1. Result: over a period of approximately 2 seconds, the oak burned to charcoal. Note: interesting. Apparently there was enough air in the channels to support very limited combustion. Next time, I'll try waterlogged wood. Agent T. Feeling hot, hot, hot. I love when the Foundation does random mundane shit with their anomalies, like trying to make a burger. Hello, howdy, Derpy. How you doing? Welcome to the longest reading stream I've done, possibly ever. How you doing tonight? Stretch. However, we are almost done. Got 2 more to read. Then I've got to do other video stuff for tomorrow. I am not going to be able to talk tomorrow, am I?
That's fine. That's fine. It's good.
To quote a certain Let's Player.
It's good.
Alright. A curious device. Item number: SCP-319. Object class: Keter. Special containment procedures. SCP-319 is to be contained in place at Site-319, inside a hermetically sealed vacuum chamber, 20 meters in diameter. The chamber housing SCP-319 must be insulated, and the surface temperature controlled, to present an absolutely uniform thermal gradient. SCP-319 is to rest on a platform with an active mass damping system, and the relative position of the housing for each instance of SCP-3 and the relative position of the housing for each instance of SCP-319-1 into the diameter and position of SCP-319-2 shall be continually monitored by high-precision laser rangefinders. Any deviations in the position of any instance of SCP-319-1 by greater than 0.01% on any axis, or any change in size or position of SCP-319-2 by greater than 0.001%, is deemed a potential Götterdämmerung scenario, and a risk of a ZK-0 event. Foundation-wide initiation of Protocol Omega-319 is mandated in response to such an event, until such time as the positions of SCP-319-1 are returned to optimal, and SCP-319-2 has ceased growth and movement. Any and all scientific investigation of SCP-319-1 and -2 is authorized only with explicit O5 approval. Description: SCP-319 is a mechanical device constructed circa 1894, consisting primarily of 12 interlocking rings assembled in an 8-meter diameter spherical formation, allowing a clockwork mechanism driven by electric motors to rotate each ring separately on each axis. The purpose of the assembly appears to be the precise placement of 12 instances of SCP-23. The purpose of the assembly appears to be the precise placement of 12 instances of it. The purpose of the assembly appears to be the precise placement of 12 instances of -1 in relation to each other. The assembly has been frozen in its current configuration since its recovery, and current motion of instances of -1 have been almost solely due to tectonic disturbances and thermal expansion/contraction of the material comprising SCP-319. Footnote: precise measurements have determined microscopic variations in position due to gravitational tidal effects, but, to date, these have appeared to be within acceptable margins. -1 designates 12 anomalous mineral specimens mounted on SCP-319. Each instance of -1 is nearly fully enclosed in a housing made of brass, copper, and glass, with a 12mm opening pointed at the center of -2. Each housing for -1 is connected to heavy-duty electrical cabling that loops in a closed circuit connecting each instance. Measurements indicate a constant 50 amperes of current in this circuit, despite no connection to an outside power source. -2 designates a bubble of vacuum 2.561 meters across 2.561 meters across, suspended inside SCP-319. -2 appears to be in a lower energy state than the surrounding universe. Because of the alteration of physical constraints within this bubble, any matter and energy entering this bubble is annihilated, as their quantum structures are incompatible. Current theory predicts that the existence of -2 should catalyze a vacuum metastability event, resulting in the expansion of the boundary of -2 at the speed of light, bringing the vacuum state of the surrounding universe down to its lower energy state. Footnote: this would represent a ZK-0 reality failure scenario. The universe would continue to exist, but would not only cease to support life as we know it, but would fail to support chemistry as we know it. The expansion of -2 appears to be held in check by the precise positioning of -1 around it. This is supported by the fact that any recorded movement of -1 allows -2 to grow by varying amounts. Over the past 50 years, vibrations and thermal expansion have moved -1 enough to allow -2 to enlarge by 0.blank meters in diameter, meaning that, at its current rate of expansion, in blank years containment will fail as the outer boundary of -2 intersects the innermost ring of SCP-319. Addendum: selected excerpts from the journal of Sir Bandon Lawhead Smythe, recovered within SCP-319. August 12th, 1893. I found myself pleasantly surprised today when word arrived of a shipment from England. It appears my rival was as good as his word, living up to the terms of our wager. It seems that day, 6 months ago in the Explorers Club, Lord Blank was not boasting of his accomplishments. Now, if I'm not made to be a liar, I shall have to make good upon my own claims. August 15th, 1893. The specimens are exquisite, if one could rightly describe such unnerving carvings so. Tend to match the two I had already acquired. If Lord Blank experienced half the travails acquiring these as I had my own, I owe the man an apology. Even if it must be deferred until after I complete my own expedition. September 8th, 1893. Success! Long study of these odious cults has borne sweet fruit indeed. As I suspected, these stones are much more than primitive fetish objects for the worship of savages. The stories of their star-born origins and the exotic nature of the material told me that they were much more than that. Something in me finds it almost blasphemous that some ancient hand saw fit to defile such unique material by shaping it into such unclean geometries. November 12th, 1893. The solution was within my grasp all along. The stones, when lit, show a negative potential, and when shaded, positive. A simple copper enclosure tipped on one end with a mercury tube can induce a current in the stone, more than enough to power itself in the surrounding mechanism. January 10th, 1894. The workers have all left the cavern. The machine is complete. I will mount the stones today. Soon my feet will step beyond where anyone at the Explorers Club, even Lord Blank, could ever dream of going. January 3rd, 1894. Today I have opened a door beyond our universe. My study of a dozen perverse cults allowed me to divine the precise positioning of these stones. Savages chipped these otherworldly relics into a dim likeness of their gods, whereas I, Sir Bandon-Lawhead Smythe, shall walk across the threshold to greet them. Once I have completed writing this entry, I shall don my protective suit, pass through the locks into the airless interior of the vault where the black door awaits me. When I next write in this journal, I shall have traveled farther than any other man on the face of this earth, including the good Lord Blank. Last entry. Journal ends.
What, the Agrippa?
The dude found an orb.
Blackwood, maybe.
It's got 9 letters. If that matters. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Oh, my apologies. Yeah, that sounds like amnesia. I need to play the bunker. Apparently the bunker is really fucking good. One of these days. Eventually. Like every other thing that I say I'm going to play. Anyway, get this last one done, shall we? Eulogy Shrub. Item number SCP-324. Object class Safe. Special containment procedures. While SCP-324 does not require efforts beyond basic botanical maintenance to thrive, access to its products are to be strictly controlled to prevent theft and possible uncontrolled cultivation. SCP-324 is to be contained within a secure solarium or equivalent agricultural facility in a minimum of 5 cubic meters of soil. Soil should be maintained at a constant pH of between 4 and 4.5, with a minimum 12% humus. With a minimum 12% humus. With a minimum 12% humus. I'll figure out which one later. Or similar organic compound, component to topsoil. A misting system or other remote means of watering should be implemented to minimize the number of staff, with access to SCP-234. With access to SCP-324. SCP-324 is currently held at Site-23, Solarium 16, Bay 194 under these conditions. As on-site research staff already has access to specialized botanical testing equipment and methodologies via the containment of SCP-038. Transfer of SCP-324 to another facility is subject to Level 4 approval. Products of SCP-324, designated SCP-324-1, may be transferred between research staff as necessary, with level 3 approval. To maintain SCP-324 as the only mature specimen during initial research, attempts to cultivate further specimens from Dash-1 off-site are currently suspended. Sorry. Description: SCP-324 is a small, evergreen shrub, currently 1.4 meters in height, and possessing a complex root system that extends approximately 2.5 meters below the soil. Leaves are lanceolate, ranging between 4 to 6 centimeters in width. During the flowering phase, SCP-324 produces small, 14 to 22 millimeter, white flowers with 9 petals. Berries produced by SCP-324 are designated -1 and appear pinkish-white in color, with diameters between 9 and 14 millimeters. Berries are edible, with flavor reported as tart and mildly sweet. SCP-324's flowering and berry-producing phase are apparently only initiated by the introduction of a deceased mammal of at least 25 kilograms into its soil. The mammal must be within range of SCP-324's root system and has been deceased no longer than 3 days at the time of its first contact with SCP-324. If these conditions are met, the flowering phase will begin within 16 hours of introduction, with mature flowers and -1 appearing within 75 hours. When eaten, each individual sample of -1 will produce a vivid sensory experience, reenacting a seemingly random memory of the deceased mammal's life in the consumer of -1. In tests with human cadavers buried in SCP-324's soil, consumers of -1 report clear oral and visual impressions, including specific locations, conversations, and individuals. The consumer of -1 appears to experience the deceased's memory as if it was one of their own, but recognizes it as a product of another mind. In tests featuring animal cadavers, consumers of -1 report an overwhelming jumble of sensory input, devoid of the usual narrative context produced by human thought. Each experience lasts between 2 and 4 minutes before it subsides. If multiple samples of -1 are ingested at one time, memories experienced proceed one at a time, each with the same 2 to 4 minute window. SCP-324 produces -1 for approximately 1 week, regardless of the type or mass of the deceased mammal introduced into its soil. After this period has elapsed, all samples of -1 wither and become inert until another deceased mammal is accessed by the root system. Animals incapable of creating memories or lacking memories of their own, such as subjects of SCP-909, likewise produce inert samples of -1. Discovery: SCP-324 was discovered in a small cemetery specializing in natural, coffinless, non-preservational, burial in rural blank county, New Hampshire. Have I read this one? I feel like I've read that. One second. I feel like I've read that specific line. Nope. All right, continuing. Burial in rural blank county, New Hampshire. The groundskeeper, a Mr. Declan Blank, would regularly transplant SCP-324 to the graves of the newly deceased and invite surviving family members to partake of -1 for a substantial fee.
The scheme was discovered inadvertently when Agent Blank attended services at the cemetery. The scheme was discovered inadvertently when Agent Blank attended services at the cemetery for his deceased Blank. Upon demonstration of Dash 1's effects, Agent Blank immediately took both Mr. Blank, debriefed, April 19th, Blank, assigned D-Class, and SCP-324 into Foundation custody. Mr. Blank claimed the shrub had been on the grounds when they were purchased in 19 Blank, and knew nothing further of its origins. Addendum. Experiment Logs 324-42.4 through 324-45.2. Dash 1 Consumer. Male. D-Class. Number 67531. Number 67531. Age 56. Soil input. Human. Female. Aged 34 at time of death. Deceased 2 days. Experience report. The 67531 placid for duration of experience. Recounts an afternoon picnic from the perspective of a small female child, including impressions of flying a kite and eating a celery stalk with peanut butter and raisins. Dash 1 Consumer. Female. D-Class. Number 58563. Age 34. Soil input. Chimpanzee. Female. Aged 44 at time of death. Deceased 3 days. Experience report. D58563 thrashes wildly for the duration of the experience, making gestures as if to ward off an attacker. Recounts impression of being assaulted by multiple individuals uttering high-pitched squeals. Dash 1 Consumer. Male. D-Class. Number 69965. Age 22. Soil input. Human. Female. Age 93 at time of death. Deceased 2 days. Experience report. D69965 uncooperative. Restraints employed. D69965 force-fed Dash 1. Continues thrashing for 43 seconds before abruptly relaxing. Eyes glazed for duration of experience. D69965 drools slightly. Recounts staring out a window from a wheelchair at a busy urban street. Sprinklers occasionally splashing the window. SCP-1 Consumer. Female. D-Class. Number 39395. Age 42. Soil input. Dolphin. Male. Aged 19 at time of death. Deceased 1 day. Experience report. D39395 holds breath for duration of experience. Passes out at 97 seconds. Revived. Recounts impressions of swimming, darkness, pressure. Claims to distinctly recall speaking to another individual, but cannot remember content of conversation.
Oh my god, dolphins do talk.
Whoa!
Oh man. Just a random memory, huh? What a memory you'd get from me. Probably something very stupid and completely boring. Oh, he's playing a game again. Oh my god. Good times, good times. Anyway, my throat is shot. So, I think that'll be it for the evening. Tomorrow, I hope to play some game. I've got a bunch installed. We need to go back to Yakuza 0 this month. I need to beat or play Little Nightmares. I need to finish my Cry of Fear runs. Now that October's over, I can do whatever I want again. Thanks for the stream. I do enjoy the older skips. Newer skips are way too serious, deep, and long. Yeah. I've started whenever I'm given, like, a request. If I open it up, and it takes 30 seconds for the page to load, because of all of the formatting and weird effects that it has going, I'm like, nah. Do I have to dig through 50 offsets in order to read this? Nah. Is it going to take 50 fucking hours? Nah. I'm good. Not belittling your work, but I ain't reading all that. This ain't my job. Anyway, I'm gonna head out. So, thank you all for hanging out. I hope you had a good time, because I certainly did. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you all later.